This teacher is secretly making out with the luckiest student ever, but things are about to spiral out of control when their affair gets caught. A woman named Claire Wilson is preparing for her first day as an English teacher at Westerbrook High School. As she arrives at the school, she meets up with a French teacher named Catherine, and the two make some small talk about where Claire has moved here from. During a faculty meeting, the principal of the school introduces Claire to the rest of the staff, and Catherine suggests that she and Claire should get some drinks after school so that she can get Claire up to speed about some of the inner workings of the school. Next, Claire arrives at the store to pick up a few things for her home, and she spots a display of lipsticks. She grabs one and secretly slips it into her purse. Afterward, she tries the lipstick on in the car when no one is watching. At night, Claire's husband Matt discusses with her that his having to go on a work trip right now is most unfortunate, since she will be ovulating soon, and they will miss their window to make a baby. Claire reassures him that they can always try next month. Matt inquires how Claire's day was, and she admits to him that she stole lipstick from the store today. Matt is confused as to why she would do something like that, but she just brushes it off as if larceny is not a big deal. The next day, Claire arrives in her senior English class where students Eric and Josh are immediately taken by her beauty. As she reads out a poem for the class, Eric looks at her with some serious adoration in his eyes. After class, Eric meets up with his advisor, Mr. Castillo, and inquires about the Travis County Community Scholarship, which he wants to apply for. Mr. Castillo tells him that he fits almost all the requirements for the scholarship since he works a job at a local diner and is the soccer team captain, but he will need a 1250 score on his SATs to fully qualify. Next, Eric, Josh, and their teammate Logan are at soccer practice when Logan spots Claire getting into her car and inquires who this incredibly attractive woman is. Eric smiles and tells him that she is their new English teacher, but suddenly he realizes that he is being too obvious and complains that she gave them a lot of homework to cover up the fact that he totally has a crush. After practice, Logan pulls up the Instagram of Eric's ex-girlfriend Allison and comments on how she has gotten much hotter after their breakup. He also pervs on Josh's sister's Instagram, which Josh doesn't appreciate. Claire is having dinner by herself when she receives a text from Matt informing her that his flight has been canceled, so he won't be making it home tonight. He tells her to go out and have some fun to celebrate her new job. Meanwhile, Eric's shift at the diner ends, and he and his friends smoke a joint in the back. Afterward, Eric's friends force him to make milkshakes for all of them. Logan spots Claire sitting by herself in the diner and decides to introduce himself. Eric and Josh don't think it's a great idea since they are stoned, but they have no choice but to join him, and the three boys sit down with the teacher. Logan only just starts flirting with Claire when he gets a text from his mother telling him to come home, and he asks Josh to drive him, leaving just Claire and Eric there. To make conversation, Eric complains that his friends think the food at the diner is free just because he works there, and Claire offers to pay for their milkshakes because she has worked at a diner herself once, and she understands his situation. The conversation then shifts toward Eric's college aspirations, and he talks about how he wants to get a scholarship so that he can attend the University of Texas, but he's having a hard time getting the required SAT scores. Suddenly, Eric floats the idea of Claire tutoring him for the exam, and she replies that if the school approves it, she has no problem helping him out. Afterward, Claire offers Eric a ride home, and on the way, she tells him that she has a brother, who is a cop, who lives in the same area as Eric. She plays some Frank Ocean in her car, and Eric is surprised that a teacher listens to this kind of music. He loves it. Later at night, Claire sees that Eric has sent her a follow request on Instagram, but she does not accept it. However, when she goes to sleep, she has a dream about making love to Eric. She is awakened by Matt, who managed to catch a late flight home. Matt says he's tired and just wants to go to bed, but Claire says she wants to make love to him. She reasons that they shouldn't waste her ovulation period. On the weekend, Claire dresses up to go out, and when Matt inquires where she is going, she lies that she is going out for drinks with Catherine. In reality, she arrives at the diner to tutor Eric. A month later, Eric is at a party where he ends up making out with his ex-girlfriend, Allison. The police show up at the party to arrest the teenagers for underage drinking and for using other illegal substances, and Eric gets caught. An officer named Nate Wilson tells Eric to blow into a breathalyzer, and he gets worried that a citation from the police will reflect very poorly on his college and scholarship applications. He recognizes Nate's second name and asks if he has a sister who teaches at Westerbrook. Once it is confirmed that he is Claire's brother, Eric begs Nate to not call his mother, and to call Claire instead because she has been tutoring him for the past month, and she will explain his situation. Nate calls Claire, and she convinces him to let Eric go with a warning this once. Claire arrives to pick Eric up, and scolds him for making such poor decisions. As they talk on the way to Eric's home, he calls her Miss Wilson, and she tells him to not be so formal, and just call her Claire. The next day, Eric prepares for his tutoring session with Claire, but she surprisingly turns up at his house and says that instead of SAT tutoring, she'd like to take him somewhere today. On the way, Eric asks Claire where she is taking him and jokes that he feels like he is being kidnapped. Claire reveals that she is taking him to the University of Texas to give him a little tour because it's the university that she went to back in her day. As they walk around the campus, Claire asks Eric about his goals and aspirations, and he reveals that he wants to be a doctor because he has a desire to help people. They meet up with Logan's older brother Cody, who goes to this school, and he invites them to a party at his frat house. At the party, Claire reveals that she never got to participate in social events like this back in her day because she was always caring for her alcoholic father. Eric then reveals that he never even knew his father because he left before Eric was even born, and the two bond over their sob stories. Eric gently picks something out of Claire's hair, and a sexual tension starts building up between the two. They stare at each other for a second, and then Claire says that they should probably get going. Claire arrives home and gets a text from Eric in which he tells her he had a good time today. She quickly deletes the text. Meanwhile, Eric awaits her reply, but he gets none, and he sees that she still hasn't accepted his follow request on Instagram either. Claire discovers that Matt has purchased a wide range of musical equipment, and he informs her that he's starting a band with some people from his work. She is outraged that he spent money from their savings without consulting her, but he reveals that he used his grandfather's bonds for this. Claire is still angry because they had agreed to spend those bonds on something useful, and Matt gets upset. He mentions that Claire knows he's had a passion for music for a long time, and he doesn't feel very supported by her. With no response to this, Claire simply walks away. At night, while Matt sleeps, Claire finally accepts Eric's follow request on Instagram. The next day, when Eric sees this, he smiles, and Logan gets suspicious about what's causing this sudden joyous expression. Next, Eric is standing by his locker, and he sees Claire standing outside her class. He notices on her Instagram that she made a post about her trip to the university, with the caption mentioning that she had a great time, and this gives him the courage to do what he's contemplating. He walks up to Claire and asks if they can talk. Claire leads him inside the classroom where, after making some small talk, he slowly walks up to her and kisses her. Shocked, Claire pushes him away and tells him to leave. Eric begins apologizing and leaves the classroom flustered, while Claire sits there holding her lip trying to come to terms with what just happened. Eric has a dream in which Claire, even hotter than usual, pleasures him in front of the whole class. Meanwhile, a doctor tells Claire and Matt that Claire's uterus is deteriorating and their chances of conceiving naturally are very low. Matt says that they can consider in vitro fertilization, but Claire reminds him that he is not the one who would have to go through the painful and invasive procedure. Next, Eric stays behind after English class to apologize to Claire again, and she sternly tells him that what he did was not okay, and that if word about it got out, it would ruin her life. Eric promises to keep his mouth shut, and then asks if she will still tutor him. Claire flatly refuses, but Eric begs her, and adds that he can't afford the SAT prep courses that give his classmates an advantage. Claire agrees to continue tutoring him if he promises to never do anything like this ever again, and he agrees. Next, Claire and Catherine help the students decorate the gym for the homecoming dance, and Claire sees Eric asking Allison to be his date to the event, which clearly bothers her. At night, Matt reassures Claire that he's ready to wait to have the baby conversation whenever she's up for it. He just wants to start a family with her. Cody arrives at Logan's house and inquires about the mystery woman that he saw with Eric at the university. And Logan is surprised that Eric is seeing a girl and hasn't said anything to his friends. Eric lies that the girl's name is Stephanie, and she's a college student. When Logan demands that they be allowed to meet this mystery woman, Eric brushes it off and says they'll meet her in due time. Just then, Eric receives several texts from Claire asking where he is, and he doesn't answer them. Meanwhile, Claire is sitting at the diner wondering why Eric hasn't shown up for his tutoring session. At the homecoming dance, Claire and Catherine complain about what a pain it is having to chaperone this event, and Catherine offers Claire some booze to help her survive the evening. Afterward, Claire gets jealous when she sees the way Allison is dancing with Eric, and she corners him and demands to know why he didn't show up for his tutoring session. At first, Eric apologizes, but then he admits that he's been avoiding her because he's too into her. He doesn't want to be around her because he's too attracted to her, and he doesn't want to do something stupid again and get her in trouble. She tells him to just go back to his dance, but later, the two lock eyes from across the room. She gives him a certain kind of look, and then starts heading toward the exit. Eric understands and follows her. He quietly gets in her car, and she drives to a secluded spot. As the two sit in the car full of nervous anticipation, Claire tells Eric that they don't have to do this if he doesn't want to, but he says that he does because duh. She tells him to get in the back seat, and he obeys. She joins him and proceeds to take off his coat. The two share a passionate kiss, and then go on to make love, vigorously. A Teacher is a miniseries released in 2020 that received majorly positive reviews from critics and audiences alike. The series was praised for its largely successful attempt at tackling difficult subjects like grooming and abusive relationships, and portraying them in a way that real-life victims of these phenomenons experience them. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.